Dark Cloud is perhaps the greatest RPG you have never played. I hear you, Legend Dragoon is fantastic, but how can we all unanimously agree on that and still pretend it's so underrated and obscure? But no, back to Dark Cloud. The game's unbelievable for its time on so many levels. First of all, the music is iconic, catchy, and just so damn JRPG. Could leave this on loop for hours. That's too many hours. It's essentially a dungeon crawler by day and a town-building minigame by night. Not literally, that was an analogy. This isn't Persona 3, but the day-night system is nice. About 3/4 or so of your time will be spent in dungeons, either fighting enemies, seeking loot, or collecting Atla. Atla are these weird floating spheres that contain the supplies and people necessary to rebuild each of the towns you visit as you journey through a recently destroyed world. I loved traveling to each of these beautiful, unique, and deeply well thought out environments, each with their own aesthetic and vibe. Even more so, I just love the feeling of helping people and making their individual lives better. The whole thing takes on a very puzzle-like quality as you shift the town around within a limited space with limited supplies to suit each of the homeowners' needs. And you don't just put them back how they were, you can talk to each of the townsfolk and arrange things to be better than ever. It's a cool mechanic, I found it to be really unique and a lot of fun, but more than anything, it's a great way to shift the pace a tad and put the player in a different mindset. Another really unique mechanic Dark Cloud brings to the table is its fantastic weapon upgrade system. It gets a little too grindy towards the end, but the concept is genius. Each weapon contains slots for gems or attributes. These boost things like attack, speed, basic elements such as wind or lightning, and damage done to each of the enemy types. Every time you level up, your weapon absorbs these bonuses permanently, and you can slot in some new guys. Eventually, if you fill in all the right ones, you could build up your weapon into a completely different, likely cooler one, sometimes possessing their own unique skills. At level 5, your weapon can be broken and made into an attachment called a synth sphere, retaining 60% of its original stats. I highly recommend doing this to help build up weapons, especially once they get to the higher levels and the EXP bar gets harder to fill. I should also mention the weapons can break on their own, so it's necessary to always have at least 5 repair powders on you at all times once you can buy it. If you can't buy it yet, you can always get a free one from this guy, the chief of your hometown. You just can't already have one in your inventory, so use yours first, then go talk to the guy. While I'm on the subject of things to keep with you, Dran's feathers, do not play without them. They are necessary for your sanity. Combat itself is fine. It's maybe not the greatest selling point of this title, but it's not turn-based, so there's that. I think as a kid it was a big part of the reason why I couldn't initially get into Dark Cloud. It's not that it's terrible, but the first PlayStation 2 game I ever played on Christmas morning at 10 years old was Kingdom Hearts. A game with an excellent combat system, unbelievable graphics, and easily digestible gameplay, even for a 10-year-old. Kingdom Hearts wasn't just a video game to me, it was the first video game that had me completely hooked. It was the first game I stayed up by myself all night playing. Dark Cloud is not by any stretch of even Tetsuya Nomura's imagination a bad game, but compared to Kingdom Hearts, how was I going to play this instead? Toan can't even jump. Only the cat girl can, and even then she needs the prompt. The combat isn't all bad. Every character has a drastically different attack speed, radius, and method. For an action RPG of its time, it's really impressive, and now as an adult, I can appreciate it the way I should have Christmas Day 2003. The story is a little disjointed, and maybe it didn't have the best localization team, but what it lacks in polish it more than makes up for in heart. In the end, I was a little disappointed and felt like I needed more of a sense of closure, but I didn't feel betrayed at all. This game has so much else going for it, I kinda just didn't care. It has so much atmosphere, it has so much charisma, and so many JRPG tropes it is just comical. We got a main character's village being destroyed, we've got a silver-haired swordsman antagonist, sick music, magical orb, and of course, a cat girl. Every check on the list. As a cohesive whole, I love this game and highly recommend it. My capture is all from PS4, I paid like $4 for it, and for that price, you can't go wrong. It also might be on PlayStation Now, and if all else fails, maybe you could find an actual PlayStation 2 disc. I'm not saying it's the best RPG ever made, there is a steep learning curve in the beginning, but if you have any questions about the game or need any help, just ask me in the comments. Dark Cloud is an inventive, different, but also very familiar feeling PS2 classic that deserves a chance to earn your adoration, or a second chance if you were an impatient little dude once long ago. It isn't the greatest RPG ever made, but I'd be willing to bet it's the best RPG you've never played. P.S. I'm putting a guide to all the gems and what they do in the description in case you need it. Oh, and if you're just starting a new game, make sure you put Pike and his house down in Norune Village before you complete Gaffer's Buggy. He sells way more items that way. Have fun, and thanks for watching.